What is going on, my people of the planet? I hope all is well with you and yours. I am D-Venom, and allow me to please raise your vibrations. I hope all of my people are staying on the straight and narrow and doing everything possible to not lower and or jeopardize those vibrations. And with that being said, let's get into tonight's episode, starting now. Alright, you guys, as I just mentioned, I hope all is well with you and yours. And I hope that all of my people of the universe are staying on the straight and narrow and doing everything possible to maintain those vibrations. I myself could lower my vibrations by doing drugs and getting pissed off at the simple fact that I just created an episode and I went to spell a specific word and I went out of the app to go to my dictionary app. And when I went back into the Podbean app, it basically erased everything, the recording, everything, because I didn't save it. So I'm a little upset about that. But I'm going to re-record this episode and let that be the reason. Anyway, you guys, I was doing some spring cleaning. Well, not spring cleaning, some fall cleaning, shredding a lot of papers. And I came across one paper or maybe two papers indicating when I got my car stolen back in Las Vegas. And I remember the person. I remember exactly what happened. And I was high on methamphetamine. And I had picked up a scallywag. And I was staying at 1695 Mary Jane Drive, 1695 Mary Jane Drive. And I brought the scallywag back to my place. And instead of hiding my keys or keeping them on me, I ended up setting them to the side somewhere. And I messed around with the scallywag. And we both, well, I thought we both went to sleep, but that didn't happen. I woke up and there was no scallywag in the apartment and there was no keys, and I went outside to check the parking lot and there was no vehicle. Now mind you, this is a vehicle that my mom gave me because she and her husband had gotten a new car. Well, she got a new car, and this was the car that she pretty much gave me, she gave me her old car. Anyway, I ended up calling the police, made a police report. They ended up finding my vehicle, and it had writings all over it, drawings of penises, and just all type of shit. Luckily, nothing was stolen. It was a little trashed, but I got my car back. And that person went to prison because they had other warrants and stuff out for their arrest. Anyway, I remember I had to write the courts in order to keep them locked up because there was periods where this person was going to be getting out, and I didn't want that to happen. So I forgot what it was called, the inmate protective something or something of that nature, but the courts let you know ahead of time when this person is up for parole and could be released. So I would write letters every time that they went up for parole so that they wouldn't get out. You know, I mean, if they were a hazard to me, I could just imagine who else they would do this to. So I wanted to keep them behind bars. But anyway, around 2000 and something, I received a letter stating that they were going to be released. And at this particular time, I think I was getting ready to leave Vegas or something of that nature, but I didn't fight it anymore. I'm just like, whatever, if he gets out, he gets out, I'm not concerned. It's been a couple of good years now, and I have moved on, and, the other time the same car got stolen is when I picked up a scallywag being high on methamphetamine, and, we went back to the scallywag's place. I didn't know that they had a girlfriend back there, but he jumped the wall, and I went behind him to do the same thing. I heard a noise, but I didn't realize it was my keys because I was so, dick thirsty. I wasn't concerned about what that fall or what that noise was. Anyway, we goes into the apartment of the person because they were living in a sober living house type of situation. So they snuck me in. And anyway, I remember we were smoking more meth and shit. And I remember the guy whispering to the girl and going back outside. Now this is when they went to go retrieve my keys. So anyway, after partying, no sex or nothing, I get ready to go, and I'm searching for my keys, and I can't find them. And I go outside, and I'm not frantic because I don't want them to know that I lost my keys, but they already knew this. That's what the whispering and shit was all about. Anyway, the dude had already given my keys to one of his homeboys, and I didn't know this. My back was turned while he kept me occupied, and we're talking. And I noticed this person walking down the street, but it didn't dawn on me that they were going to steal my car. I just thought that they were an innocent bystander, and let that be the reason. Anyway, I heard a car door slam, and I heard a car start up, and when I turned around, it was my vehicle that the person had jumped in and started, and there was nothing I can do. I mean, I couldn't run after my car or anything because they had already took off. So at that point, the scallywag had left, and so I ended up calling the police. I told the police that my car was stolen, and anyway, I ended up calling a alleged friend to come and pick me up. And this alleged friend is the friend that sold me a death trap of a truck, which I will tell you guys about here shortly. I remember being at the gas station waiting for the police to come and, see what was going on. And plus, I was also waiting for someone to come and pick me up to take me home. I forgot how I got home this particular day. I don't know if the alleged friend came and got me, or if I caught the bus or Uber or what. I just know that I got home later on that day, but before I got home, I'm waiting at the gas station for the police or someone to come, and I remember seeing my car ride past my eyeballs, and I remember the driver and I made beyond, eye contact, and I'm just like, this motherfucker is in my vehicle just joyriding around, and I didn't expect to see my vehicle anymore after that. I mean, after it was stolen, but to be on the same side of town joyriding in my car and whatever else the case may be, I was pissed. And anyway, long story short with that, the police had got in contact with me and told me that they found my car, and I'm like, perfect, excellent. But when I got to my car, it was pretty much total because they were in a high-speed chase with the individuals, and they ran straight into a brick house or a brick business building. I just know that it was a brick wall that they hit, and so anyway, they had a bunch of shit in the back of my car, in the trunk and in the back seat and all that stuff, shit that didn't belong to me. When I went to go take all of this stuff out of the car, when it was in the impound. I still have some of that shit that was in the backseat of my car, like a computer screen and a couple of other things that was left. But yeah, that's what happened with the car. And I was so upset because this is a car that my mom gave me out the kindness of her heart, because she ended up getting another car. And for me to have fucked it up because of dick, you know what I'm saying? That's really jacked up. And I'm trying to think if it was the same vehicle or did I have two different cars at that time. I don't think I did. I think it was the same car that got stolen both those times, from the scallywag that I picked up when I was living on Mary Jane, and from the scallywag that stole it in this particular story. So I think this is the same vehicle that ended up getting taken. But aside from that, I did get some money for my vehicle. It was, I can't think of the amount, but I know it was in the thousands. And I spent some of that on drugs, of course. And the great majority of it went on another vehicle. Instead of getting a vehicle from a dealership or anything like that, I put trust in my ex-friend, the one that I told you guys about not that long ago, who I called to come pick me up when my car got stolen. I'm not sure if they did or not, because they were so into this bitch. But anyway, this friend that I'm talking about is someone that I always seen around Vegas in my area, that, they would always walk without a shirt on, and they had a nice ass body. And I said to myself, one day I'm going to work this motherfucker and see what happens. And I worked him, and it was so easy to get him. And I had him ever since, before I even left Vegas, before I stopped fucking with him, we fucked around with each other. But he became very shady acting towards the end, and I just left him alone, especially after selling me this death trap of a truck. Anyway, during this time, I was going through really, really bad psychosis regarding the methamphetamine. And I remember myself and this person, we had a off and on relationship in regard to, our meth-induced sexual encounters. They then met a Mexican woman that they got into a relationship with, and this Mexican woman had a truck that they were getting rid of. I did not know that this truck needed a lot of work done to it, and I was pretty much cajoled into buying the truck. With what little money that I did have from when I, retrieved that when my car got fucked up, I ended up buying this death trap of a truck. And my then friend could have told me that, hey, the truck needs some brakes, or the truck needs this, or the truck needs that. They were so concerned about getting the money that none of that came into play. Anyway, I noticed with this death trap of a truck that when I tried to press down on the brakes, it wouldn't stop right away. You had to stop clear like halfway down the damn street before you even approached a car, because if you tried to brake like right then and there, you were bound to hit the car that's in front of you. So that was one issue. Another issue was when you put it into drive and park and all of that, it would jerk and do all of that stuff. And I had it serviced a little bit, but not the way that it should have been serviced. I think it needed a new transmission. It needed something, but yeah. Anyway, one particular night, I was so fucking high, and I wanted to go to the adult bookstore. This adult bookstore is downtown off of off of Las Vegas Boulevard, and I can't think of the other cross street, but it's by the city bus station, and there's the bookstore, and I think there's a apartment complex or either a hotel that's like right next door. Then there is an alley, and then there is a apartment complex, and cars would park like right there. And where I parked at, it was like right in front of those cars that parked their vehicles near the alley. So that's where I parked. But on my way to the bookstore, the truck was having a lot of issues, and the seat, it felt like, was biting me. It's hard to explain, but reading the Bible, and I haven't read all of it, I did read parts where the Bible says something about the gnashing of teeth, and that's what it felt like in regard to the seat of this truck. At this point, I'm in psychosis, you guys. So anyway, that seat felt like the gnashing of teeth and something biting me, and I kept jerking and moving around. I remember this, and I remember there was a part where I was almost at the bookstore, and I had to come to a red light, and I'm trying to stop the truck, and it just wouldn't stop. Now, these are all red flags that, hey, turn around, go back home, or do something with this truck. But I didn't. I kept going because I wanted to go to the bookstore. I get to the bookstore. I parked the death trap truck where I parked it, like in the alleyway in front of these other vehicles. I go inside the bookstore, and this is where shit gets scary. I walk around the bookstore looking to see where I wanted to end up at. There was a in booth on the left-hand side, and I picked that booth to sit and chill, smoke, and watch porn. Across from me was somebody in a booth, and it was red. The room was just pitch red, and I'm not sure if their porn got stuck or what, but it was solid red, and I couldn't see the person, but I heard them in there like talking to themselves. I thought they were talking to someone, but come to find out they were talking to themselves, and I kept hearing the flicking of a lighter, which I knew that they was either smoking crack or they were smoking something. And there were people walking up and down the aisles, how bookstores are. People walking up and down aisles looking to see which room they can go into and whatever else the case may be. That's exactly what this person was doing. Oh, no, let me rephrase. That's not what that person was doing. They never left that room, but that's what other people were doing. I seen people look into this person's room, but they never would go inside. And anyway, as the night progressed and went on, this person across from me started laughing, and it was the most evilest laugh that I have heard of in my life, like a scary movie type of laugh. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm in my own psychosis, and this shit is freaking me out because I'm going through what I'm going through, and this person with this evil laugh isn't making it any better. So I get up and I walk across the aisle, and I went to go peep inside this person's room that the room that they were in. I wanted to know who was behind the laughter. Anyway, I didn't bother to look on the screen to see what porn was going, or why was it so red in there. I didn't even bother to do that. I wanted to see the person. The person was far in the corner, and their back was turned to me. Now, this is the scary part. Their back was turned to me, but I still seen eyeballs. I seen a nose and I seen a mouth. Now, either their head was turned all the way around like Exorcist, and they were looking at me that way, or I was so deep in psychosis that the back of their head bared eyeballs, a nose, and a mouth, or whatever. Either way it goes, it was some scary ass shit, and I hurried up and left out. I stopped peeping in that person's room, and I went to a different room. And I see why people didn't want to go in that person's room, because if I seen what I seen, maybe they seen the same thing. Anyway, I'm in a different stall, and I sit down. I notice a foot impression on the wall of the stall that I'm in. Now, this clearly meant someone was getting fucked, because or getting whatever the case may be. I just know that there was a foot impression on the stall wall that I was in, and it was a very unique shoe impression. It's hard to explain, but the design of the impression kind of looked like I want to say flies. That's what it looked like. Anyway, I'm staring at this foot impression on the stall wall, and all of a sudden, I would have to draw the impression so you guys would know what I'm talking about. But because it was shaped like little flies with wings, the wings or the impression started flapping like wings, and they were flapping really, really flat, like really fast. Now, I don't know a lot in regard to the Bible and Satan and stuff like that, but I do know that crows, black crows, flies, and snakes and stuff like that is associated with Satan. And when flies come around, that means death. And that was symbolic for something in regard to me when I seen those shoe impressions turn into a bunch of flies and started flapping their wings really fast. I was terrified, so I'm like, let me get the fuck up out of here. So I ended up leaving, and I get back into the death trap of a truck. I sit down. I tried to start the truck up and it won't start. At this time, I'm still feeling the gnashing of the teeth in regard to the seat. And I feel like the seat is trying to swallow me. And I just want this truck started so that I can get the fuck home. But at the same time, I didn't want to go home, because I knew that once I closed those doors, my psychosis was going to get even worse. Anyway, I get the truck started. I put it in reverse, and I'm backing up, and I'm backing up, and I continue to back up. I'm trying to stop this fucking truck, because if I don't, I'm going to hit one of those cars that is behind me. And true enough, that's exactly what happened, because the truck would not stop. It was almost like someone was controlling it with a remote control. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to stop it. Well, it was being controlled. It was being controlled by Satan. That's who the truck was being controlled by. But anyway, I'm trying to stop this death trap of a truck, and it won't stop. It hit one of the cars, and I heard it put it in drive, and it finally gets in gear, and I take off, and I go down the street of the bookstore, and I just park the truck, and I'm just like, I gotta get out of here, because they're gonna call the police, and the police is going to be looking for me in this truck. So I park it, I jump out, And I remember I hid behind these dumpsters for who knows how long. I didn't hear any police sirens or nothing like that. So I took the initiative to walk and just leave the truck. And I was going to walk home. And this is where shit gets even more scarier. There's this alley that's by the bookstore. And it was being reconstructed in regard to new buildings and stuff like that being built. But it just, it was just still under construction. This was a cold, windy, dark, gray, gloomy night. I'll never forget it. Very dark and gray night. And I'm walking down this alley, and the energies from me alone, I can't really say, but the energies of the atmosphere was very, very satanic. I'm walking, and I come up to a street sign, and all of a sudden that street sign started flickering and fluttering, and then all of a sudden just a pow, and I remember screaming. The wind had hit that sign so hard that it could have knocked it over, and I started walking even faster, and then to the left-hand side of me, considering these new apartments or whatever were being constructed, I just know I heard a door slam. Just a big, loud slam. Bam. Remind you guys, this is nighttime. Dark, gray, gloomy night. I'm in an alley, walking, trying to get to the opposite end where there is some type of activity going on. How can I say it? Not seclusion. That's not what I wanted. I just wanted an open area, an open lit area. Anyway, I'm walking down this alley, and things are happening on the right and left hand side of me and in front of me. At the very end of the alley, that's where I see shadow people. Anybody that has abused drugs, especially methamphetamine, and have been up for days and weeks, close to months at a time, know good and well what shadow people are, and they really do exist. The shadow people that I witness are tall, lanky. They look just like human beings, but they're just shadows, and they just stand. And some of them move, and a lot of them don't. They're very scary, and I was scared to get to the end of that alley because I didn't know if I was going to be attacked by these shadow people or not. Anyway, I get to the end of the alley, and I'm happy. So I started walking home. And I'm on Charles Street, West Charles Street in Las Vegas. I come across this wall that usually has graffiti on it, but instead this wall had graffiti, but it was a bunch of cell phones, and the cell phones were turned to where their cameras were facing the streets. And I'm well in my psychosis. I'm thinking, oh my God, someone's recording me. This is symbolic for something, which it was. It was symbolic for, now that I look upon it, we're watching you. We're keeping our eyes on you, whoever that we is. And now that I think about it, that we is Satan and his allies. They were letting me know in a symbolic way that they are keeping their eyes on me and watching me at all times. And I'm walking along, and I am terrified. I think it's the butt crack of dawn, if I'm not mistaken. This could have been a different psychosis. I do know that I went into a Del Taco to get something to eat because I was starving. And I sit down, I'm opening packages of sauce, not packages, let me rephrase. I'm opening packages of sauce, and sauce is spilling out on the table. I'm eating, and I remember I'm just thinking about myself, my life, methamphetamine, my cat, my family, what friends I did have. I was just thinking about a lot, and I broke down, and my eyes were focused on those puddles of sauce that landed on the table. Now, mind you, I have a detached retina. Sometimes my eye, meanders. As I'm looking at these puddles of sauce, they turn into faces. And these faces' eyes are crossed like how mine would be. And they're laughing at me. They're making fun of me. And I break down even more because it's just like, wow, these entities are not only putting me through it in a lot of ways, but they have the nerve to torment me and laugh at me and poke fun of my detached retina. Satan and his crew, they don't care about a damn thing. Your feelings, none of that. And I just remember I was in Del Taco just really going through it. But I think that was a different psychosis. I can remember my very first psychosis that I had. I was in the shower, and I was at my lowest point. I was bipolar depressed. I'm not depressed like that anymore. I'm still bipolar depressed, but I was really depressed back in those days. And I was taking a shower, and I was looking down lower level, the shower floor, and all of a sudden this face just kept moving back and forth, and the eyes were wide open, and it was the face of a female, and her face just kept moving back and forth. It was hypnotizing me. The entity didn't blink. It didn't do any of that. It just stared, and I stared back at it, and it just kept moving its head back and forth, and that's the first time to my recollect that I started seeing these evil entities. And I should have known whenever I broke down into psychosis that these were evil entities that were, taunting me, because they never blinked their eyes. They never blinked. But anyway, back to the death trap. So I'm walking home, and I'm trying to think, did I make it home? I do believe I did make it home. And I'm trying to think if I ever called the police about that truck. No, I didn't, because I didn't want to be in trouble. Did I go back and get the truck? I think that I did go back to retrieve the truck, and I brought it back to my place. And I eventually sold it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I mean, there's so many different things that has happened in between this window. I'm not sure if I sold that truck or not, but I do know that it could have killed me, and it could have killed other people, and thank God no one was standing behind me when I reversed out of that damn parking spot while at the bookstore, because that person would have been really hurt, because that truck, when it reversed, and it's literally just scared the shit out of me. The fact that I felt like it was swallowing me whole, and the gnashing of the teeth, and just all of that, just really, yeah. I'm just glad that my life has changed for the better. I went from having those really bad psychosis and smoking methamphetamine to now working and living a more productive life and to nearly getting my license back. And the fact that a so-called friend sold me this truck knowing damn good and well that it needed some things fixed on it. And I'm not sure if they told me that it needed some things fixed on it or not. I just know that I wanted another vehicle after my vehicle was pretty much stolen, and I ended up buying that death trap. I do believe that I had the death trap shortly thereafter because I went through another psychosis where I thought the truck was eating me alive, and I was supposed to have been going to the airport to take a flight to get up out of Illinois. There was something to that recollect, but I know that my ex-friend, the one that I was telling you guys about, that lives in Maricopa, and my mom was on three-way, and we were all talking, and I was scared out of my life. I was scared to drive the truck. I wanted to park it. My ex-friend's cousins came to help me move, because this is when I was getting ready to move back to Illinois. And I remember they came over, and I was smoking fucking meth and getting ready to move my stuff into the U-Haul. And I remember I just ran out of the house because I started to go into psychosis, and I left my friend's cousin and someone else there, and I took off in that truck. No, I took off in the U-Haul, and I left the back of the U-Haul door open and all type of shit because I was going through a psychosis. And the U-Haul truck, I remember it was extremely hot inside, and I remember the seats was engulfing me, just like swallowing me. And I remember the gnashing of teeth, and I remember my mom and my then friend being on the phone with me three-way, and my ex-friend. Sorry, you guys. And me being frantic and just going through it. And my ex-friend was like, let me get something to drink, you guys. Hold on 1 second. And so, as I'm explaining my psychosis to my mom and my ex-friend, they were on the phone both crying, and my ex-friend was just like, this is not the truck, this is you. And I stopped, and I allowed those words to soak in, and I'm like, what do you mean it's not the truck, it's me? And they were like, this is all in your mind, basically telling me like the psychosis or whatever, it's just all in my mind. And I thought about it, and then I parked the U-Haul, and I remember I got out of the U-Haul, and I was sitting like near a dumpster with my knees up to my chest, and I had the phone listening to my then friend and my mom, crying and everything, and I was bawling, and yeah, it was a mess. And my brother was telling me to get out of Vegas, get out of there, blah blah blah, get out of there. And yeah, I have a lot of stories in regard to the psychosis. I remember when Satan tried to take my soul. It was twice. I won't get into those stories, not as of right now. I'll say those for a different time. But just to foreshadow, I was at my lowest of lowest levels. And I remember trying to wake up, and I couldn't. I wanted to wake up, and my eyes were fluttering, and I was shaking, and I just couldn't wake up. I couldn't move either. But I'll share that story at a different time and date. I don't know what made me want to share these stories. I guess because I was shredding up papers and, running across old memories. I'm like, I got a couple of stories that I can share with my people. It really tripped me out when I came across that paperwork in regard to when my car got stolen when I lived on Mary Jane. Excuse me, you guys. I just yawned again. I do apologize. And also my apologies. Well, why am I apologizing? For the simple fact that in my wake and bake episode, I had to use the bathroom on a couple of occasions. Not the number 2, but the number 1. And I mean, it's no different than when you guys walk into a urinal and you hearing the next bitch piss. The next bitch piss in the stall. Or, you're hearing, childless piss, okay? And speaking of piss, I have a story about golden showers. Let me write this down. I knew there was a story that I wanted to share with you guys, but I won't talk about that one yet. Hold on. Tell the story about the golden shower. Hold on 1 second. Tell story about the golden shower. One second, you guys. Man wanted me to piss on him. Okay. And one last story that I want to share with you guys before I leave is the power of cayenne pepper. I remember living in Las Vegas, and my mom had ordered me a food processor, I think for my birthday or something. And anyway, I was taking out the parts of the food processor, and I came across one of the blades, and I sliced my finger trying to take the blade out of the box. And it was a really, really, really deep, good cut. And I didn't want to go to the emergency room or anything like that. And I remember reading about how people back in the days used cayenne pepper to heal their wounds. And I'm just like, oh my God, the burning and everything else of the cayenne pepper. But I did it. I put cayenne pepper after I cleaned it up. After I cleaned the wound up, I put cayenne pepper on it. It didn't sting right away, but once the cayenne pepper started to settle, you could feel the stings on an intermittent basis. But it was tolerable, just put it that way. Anyway, over time, I noticed that particular cut had healed up significantly, and I did not have to go to the emergency room for stitches, because they would have probably had to stitch it up. I didn't have to go for any of that. I just used cayenne pepper. I also use cayenne pepper to straighten my hair. Yes, straighten my hair. I forgot the magazines or the articles that I read all of this from, but I was very natural back then. I was making my own conditioners and everything using fruit and all of that. But anyway, I forgot how I mixed the cayenne pepper or infused it with whatever I was putting on my hair. But it did straighten my hair. It didn't straighten it out like a perm, but it did straighten it out quite a bit. And this was using cayenne pepper. I also use cayenne pepper on my face. It's infused with a mask that I made with diatomaceous earth, honey, turmeric, paprika, maybe a few other elements. Kefir, I put kefir in there, and I put it all on my face, and then the cayenne pepper basically circulates the blood in my face, and circulates the blood in my face, and it just does what it does, just put it that way. And I love it. So yes, you guys, cayenne pepper is a very good alternative for cuts. And sorry, you guys, I just yawned again. But it's a very good agent for healing cuts and wounds and stuff like that. So if you don't want to go to the hospital, just use cayenne pepper instead. You won't be disappointed. All right, you guys, I am going to end this episode and make sure that I save it. Oh, excuse me. I swear, the older that I get, the more tired that I seem to be. That I seem to be getting, which is crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How many times have I yawned thus far? Anyway, I'm going to end this episode, so I guess to get me some rest. But I just wanted to share those particular stories with you guys, just as another way of opening up. You know that my platform is about drug addiction and homelessness, prostitution, things like that, things that I've gone through that I don't want any of you guys to go through. So I'm going to talk about psychosis and things like that on my platform. But anyway, you guys, you all be good. I am Deep Venom, lots of LLS, love, light, and support. And namaste, you guys.